Dawn, 18th of February 2023, don't hold the Chinese responsible for Pakistan's debt crisis. The Pakistani leadership sold itself as an enslaved person to the Chinese and accepted sizable debts from China. This is a test question for CSS aspirants. What is higher than the Himalayas, more profound than the oceans, stronger than steel, and sweeter than honey? Well, dear candidate, any reluctance indicates that Rawalpindi or Aabpara should check your degree of patriotism. Pak-China cooperation is the incorrect solution? As every Pakistani who waves a flag knows. What makes CPEC such a game-changer, then? Obvious. All debts will be settled, employment will be abundant, the sun will shine forever, new industries will blossom, existing ones will hum along, exports will soar through the ceiling, and Gwadar will become the next Dubai. These aspirations are dashed as Pakistan races toward financial collapse. CPEC began in 2013, and $62 billion has been invested. Pakistan, which is heavily in debt, is looking for loans to pay off older debts. We wholeheartedly welcome anyone who will donate, regardless of the conditions. The unbreakable ties between Pakistan and China are under pressure. China reportedly holds about $30 billion of Pakistan's overall $126 billion in external debt. This is more than its total borrowings from the World Bank and Asian Development Bank and is 3 times as much as its IMF debt, $7.8 billion. Why does assertive China wait until the American-led IMF gives the all-clear before providing some relief? If nothing else, shouldn't it renegotiate Pakistan's debt? Better yet, why not clear it off? These are, let's face it, naive aspirations. Like any other form of crony capitalism, Chinese capitalism is driven by wealth rather than altruism. An aspiring businessman learns how to offer water to a man drowning in marketing 101. Banking 101 explains how to spot insolvent borrowers. Law 101 entails occupying property and seizing assets to deal with defaulters like Pakistan. Chinese businesses, both public and private, are just like other businesses. They understand Gwadar provides access to the warm waters of the Persian Gulf, which supposedly drew the USSR to invade Afghanistan. They do so because their government has instructed them to see Pakistan as a strategic ally. However, they proceed cautiously, as Pakistan is not the ideal location in the world to park your money. Thus, there aren't many new businesses, and those that do are low-tech. Fantastic Hui Cheng beer is produced in a facility in Hub. Other places include a cell phone assembly plant, a microfinance bank, a location where shoes and car parts are manufactured, and so on. Additionally, farmland has been bought so that veggies can be transported to the Chinese market. But what about technological advances like nuclear technology? Chinese atomic assistance to Pakistan has a 50-year past, both publicly and covertly. That prevented the 1998 nuclear tests and Pakistan's atomic weapons from happening. For nuclear power plants, that is not the case. Up until the 1960s, bombs were high-tech, but not after. However, reactors are intricate machines. The main components of the two Hualong HPR 1000 plants, known as Konup 2 and Konup 3, $7 billion each, were designed and produced in China. Even gasoline originates in China. PA-X's function is purely advisory. It carried out the civil construction, plant installation, and running under Chinese supervision. Compare this to Chinese participation in Singapore, a former British colony like Pakistan. The population of this territory is 42 times lower, and its surface area is 1,093 times smaller. Its economy draws major American and Chinese corporations for communications, robotics, finance technologies, business and professional services, semiconductor design and manufacturing, etc. But Singapore received $92 billion in investment last year, compared to Pakistan's $2 billion. These incredible disparities beg for an answer. First, While Pakistan is rife with bloodshed, Singapore is peaceful. A new wave of terrorism is sweeping the nation due to previous official encouragement of jihadi groups. Despite a special 10,000-strong force defending Chinese workers in Pakistan, they are constantly in danger. Their concerns have grown due to a recent spate of blasphemy-related lynchings, one of which involved a plant manager from Sri Lanka. This seriously restricts interaction between Chinese and locals when considered along with the cultural and linguistic divides. Second, laws in Singapore are upheld in word and spirit, in contrast to Pakistan, where they are intentionally flouted. Under-the-table business transactions are as frequent as legal ones in this low-trust climate. We cannot determine the extent of kickbacks because the need for secrecy in CPEC transactions is justified as one of national security. Third, the workforce in Singapore is diligent, highly trained, and flexible. Pakistan is an exception to this. As a result, Pakistanis are essentially excluded from key CPEC projects on Pakistani soil regarding design and engineering. This is why earlier assurances failed to materialize. The foundation of CPEC was critically flawed. It was assumed that having better roads, bridges, and electricity would spur economic development and employment. This is comparable to thinking that expansive soil, water, and fertilizer will result in a bountiful harvest. However, human wealth is the most critical input. And this is where everything went wrong. There are no doubt intelligent and gifted individuals in Pakistan. However, it only provides low-grade human capital to the industry due to a broken educational structure. We are stuck with a sea of unemployable youth because indoctrination was prioritized over information and skills. The majority of Pakistani pupils in China choose to cheat and take shortcuts rather than learn or excel. 30,000 Pakistani students were sent to China for advanced education, but no human capital was produced. I hear shocking tales from previous students who have graduated and returned. Few engineering and hard sciences students qualify for all but the most subpar Chinese colleges. There are, of course, always true outliers. Anxiety and rage are increasing as the topic of debt traps and parallels to Sri Lanka arise. But restraint is required lest a previous folly be replicated. The relationship with America's most allied ally of the past was eventually shattered by delusions that America was Pakistan's steadfast friend and the provider of all of its needs. That was unnecessary and shouldn't have occurred. Most IPP transactions are regarded as scams, and China is guilty of selling us short. Duty-free imports from China have bankrupted numerous local producers. Tax breaks for Chinese businesses are also acceptable. But our cheerleaders tried to convince us that the CPEC was a Marshall Plan for Pakistan, which was folly. War destroyed Europe, but Pakistan was brought to its knees by its hand and forced into servitude.